Hey, it's Glenn here from Mehab, the world's leading physical therapy alternative, where we educate and empower you to take control of your recovery. Most of us have been told at some point that we need to stretch. But unfortunately, stretching is pretty much a waste of time unless you do it purely because you enjoy it. In this video, I'm going to tell you what's really going on with stretching. Stretching is usually recommended for people when they have pain, stiffness, or feel tight. Regardless of the technique someone uses for stretching, either static, dynamic, or the fancy sounding PNF, there is no solid evidence that stretching is that important. So what does happen when we stretch? The common belief is that stretching makes your muscles longer. On the surface, it would seem a reasonable assumption and has been used for a long time and continues to be perpetuated today. But we now know that that is not true. Stretching does not change tissue length, at least not permanently. It can provide a small and temporary increase in tissue length, but it's gone within about 5 or 10 minutes. It also provides a transient decrease in the stiffness of the muscle, which means it's slightly less resistant to elongation, but just like lengthening, it only lasts a few minutes. We now know that improvements in range of motion with stretching are due to an improved tolerance to the discomfort of stretching. Basically, the more you do it, the more you get used to it. You're retraining your brain that it's okay to let the muscles elongate, and there's no need to create a painful protective stimulus. It's kind of like when you first move into a house on a busy street. Initially, you're very aware of the road noise, but over time, with repeated exposure, you barely notice it, and only large noises will make it to your radar. Stretching does not lengthen tissue. Stretching improves the tolerance to stretch discomfort. Stretching retrains your brain to adjust its protective stimulus response. So why do you feel stiff and tight? People and clinicians often assume that it's because of short muscles, but this is very rarely the case. It is nothing more than a feeling. Even incredibly flexible people still feel stiff and tight. Often following injury, the sensation of tightness is exaggerated, primarily due to the increased awareness of protective response. Feelings of tightness or stiffness are in no way related to the length of your tissue. Feeling tight or stiff is just a sensation. Short muscles are not responsible for these feelings. Injury can sensitize tissue. What happens when you stretch? If you could remain consistent for a period of weeks, stretching can increase flexibility or tissue extensibility, meaning you can achieve more range of motion without strong stretching sensation. But does flexibility even matter? When you ask people why they stretch, the usual response is to get more flexible. If you follow that up with why do you need to be more flexible, and you'll start to get some because people will say this even when they have normal range of motion in every joint. Normal does not mean full capability of a joint's range, and normal varies greatly from individual to individual. Most people don't need to be more flexible. Yes, there are extreme outliers like gymnasts, martial artists, acrobats, etc. But these people have a flexibility outside of the standard deviation from the normal, and are also seeking strength and control at those extreme ranges, not just flexibility. The goal of increasing flexibility should be tied to a meaningful limitation. Unless you are unable to do a specific and necessary activity because you don't have range of motion, increasing flexibility adds no real value. Flexibility has never been linked to any meaningful health benefits. It doesn't change mortality, it doesn't decrease the risk of back pain or injury, it doesn't lower the heart rate, and it doesn't decrease cholesterol. It just isn't particularly important to health or function despite its ever-present rally cry from the health and fitness community. Stretching can increase flexibility. Flexibility is important if it limits a meaningful function. Flexibility is not linked to any particularly important health benefits. Stretching is an overhyped activity that is misunderstood by most. Range of motion gains with stretching are due to modulation of tolerance to discomfort and not changes in tissue length. Stiffness and tightness are just sensations and are rarely if ever linked to short tissue or a lack of flexibility. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.